Can I help?
No.
Why? Because I'm stupid?
That's not the word I
Really? What word then?
used. Non-school oriented. I'm triangulating. You know how that works?
Yes. Triangles.
It's pretty standard. I'm estimating angles, so I mean, if I had a protractor, it would be a lot more accurate.
Oh, I actually brought a protractor.
You did?
No. I hated math.
Ellie,
Yes?
I have to admit, Last of Us Season 2 has been straight up comedy for me. I can't stop laughing. That's besides the point of what we're seeing with The Last of Us now. Last of Us franchise itself is a complete joke. Just after the first version of the game came out, and the subsequent sequel, it had been relegated to that joke category, at least for half of the fan base. And the half of the fan base that didn't see it as a joke still cherished it to some degree. But when you're watching this second season, there's no other way to see this franchise but nothing as a joke, especially when Joel, the main character who just got slain this season, is an afterthought to the most crucial character in the story, Ellie herself. And that's my main problem with this entire season. Ellie really doesn't care about Joel at all. She cares about Dina's feelings rather than the situation at hand. She's more involved with Dina's act of trying to get revenge for Joel, which is kind of crazy hearing Dina give a speech about how she wants to get revenge for Joel because she feels responsible. It feels like something Ellie should have said, but she didn't say it at all. Dina is the person carrying this story, carrying the overall need for revenge for Joel, and that is just kind of shocking, at least for a fan of the video games, because The Last of Us 2 story, I was never really a big fan of, but the gameplay, I loved it. And I think that's the winning point of a video game. You don't have to have a great story. You can just make the gameplay good and people are going to get involved with it. But the problem with translating that into a medium like TV and movies, you're going to have to bring a quality story. And I think bringing a low quality story to the big screen and adding low quality actors that can't convey the emotion that's supposed to be played out, that's what we're seeing right now with Bella Ramsey acting as Ellie from the game, where she doesn't have any of the real emotion of the character, and she doesn't have any of the seriousness and pensiveness of the situation. Because if you play the game, Ellie is very revenge-oriented in this game. She's trying to get people back for doing the most egregious thing that happened to her. But here, Ellie's just happy-go-lucky, having a good time, just traveling through the apocalypse. None of the seriousness that we usually see in the game itself, it's all absent and gone. And even when you get to the parts where she's supposed to be serious, she just has a deadpan face. There's just no emotion there. There's nothing that we would have saw from the video game there. And it's just kind of perplexing, at least for us gamers, where we're just seeing this story, even though we know the story wasn't that great from the beginning, but still, you can at least bring those actors' emotions to the screen because it was acted well enough. The video game actors that played those characters conveyed the emotions that were directed to them. And I think this is the thing that's lost in this overall adaptation. There's no conveying of the emotions there, at least not from Bella Ramsey. I think we have Dina doing a role that she's not meant to be in. She's taking on the revenge arc for Ellie for some reason. I think it's probably coming down to the actors themselves. Bella Ramsey's a terrible actress. She probably couldn't give the speeches for revenge that Ellie was supposed to have. Dina did it herself because the actress probably couldn't carry the role. I can see the directors going that way. But that's just a sad part of the situation where we just lost the vital energy of the character. She's just a side character at this point, not even caring about the revenge, more in line with her own personal thoughts. And when you see her going for revenge, she's just doing it for Dina. When I saw this scene in the TV show, it didn't have any of those vengeful vibes that I saw in the video game. It just feels like, oh, I'm going to do this for my girlfriend because she wants revenge. And that is the sentiment that you feel from the TV show. It's like, she's doing it for Dina. She's not doing it for Joel. She already forgot about Joel. She's just still in her romantic phase. And she's like, okay, I'm going to get revenge for you. And I think that's the conception that we're seeing here. And I think just having that thought process, it makes this entire show even more of a joke in and of itself, where it has none of the vengefulness, has none of the violence, and it doesn't have any of the seriousness that we would expect from a Last of Us TV show or even a video game. And unfortunately for us, that is a sad part if you are a big fan of this game, because you're not getting what you want from The Last of Us 2 Season 2, because it's not bringing about the best parts of The Last of Us Part 2, which was the acting, which was Ellie herself, because that character was still characterized in the way she would react in real life to that bad storyline that we got. She would do a lot of the same things. Of course, some things like the ending of The Last of Us Part 2, I don't think she would do that. But for the most part, we had that emotion and feeling, but that emotion and feeling is just not there. Ellie's kind of an idiot here. She has no experience. She depends on Dina the entire time to get through anything. And it just feels like she never learned anything in the apocalypse. And this is what we saw in the first few episodes, where she's just a know-nothing fool idiot that doesn't know what she's doing, making mistakes and noises all the time. And it's just like, and combined with the terrible acting, you're like, what is happening? This is just like a Kids Bop version of The Last of Us 2. And maybe that is the intention of Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann doesn't really care about this TV show. Maybe he's trying to make this the worst possible version of The Last of Us, because The Last of Us Part 2 game was the worst version. Now people are looking at this show and thinking, okay, maybe this TV show is the worst, but I highly doubt that. I think Neil Druckmann wants to be in Hollywood. He wants to make a product that is going to stand the test of time, and this is, in his mind, is the best way to do that. So I think this is the case. I think this is Neil Druckmann's vision realized in its entirety, and that is unfortunate for the people working on it. People say Craig Mazin, the person that is writing the script and producing this, has a big hand. He wrote the first 5-6 episodes. I think that's probably the case, and you can see it in his comments.
Maybe a dad.
Bella and I were talking about that episode, and it just felt right. Bella said, oh, no, I must. Yes, please let me do that. The joy that just burbles out when they say, I'm going to be a dad, it's wonderful.
But unfortunately, the people directing this have to deal with the actors, and the actors are not that great, at least for Bella Ramsey, and that is just distorting everything with this show. And I think they're working around it with all the lines and dialogue for Revenge for Joel going to Dina, because she can convey the emotion. And unfortunately for us, that is a sad part of the story, because we're here to see Ellie, and Ellie can't really deliver. If she can't deliver, it becomes a comedy almost. And I think that is Last of Us Season 2. It's a comedy for us people that didn't like the story of Last of Us Part 2, but for the people that did love the story, this is probably a tragedy for you, and I feel sorry for you. Now you know how the people that love The Last of Us Part 1 feel. But that is just my overall sentiment is about the situation. Maybe you don't think this is a joke. Maybe you think this is a solid entry for The Last of Us franchise. I doubt it, but let me hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.